Hello guys, today we'll be taking a look at a 2012 comedy fantasy film called Ghost Graduation. All relevant links and information for the film will be in the pinned comment below, so let's get into it. The movie opens with students performing choreographed dance numbers as a student watches by the sidelines. The song changes and the student sees a girl calling him over to dance. He puts his hand on her waist and they dance together. The boy reaches out for a kiss as other students watch his peculiar behavior. It's revealed that the girl is not actually there. As the boy realizes, the girl reaches out for another kiss. Trying to avoid it, the boy leans backward only to fall down, and the students continue to laugh at him, mocking him for what he did. The girl feels humiliated and screams at him as she begins to fall over him, but quickly fades away in the process, revealing herself to be a ghost. Years later, the boy Modesto is a teacher who's listening to a group of students perform their rap for him. At the end of their rap, they hurl slurs and dab him with a duster, which leaves him with a face covered by white powder. The principal is watching everything from outside the class and decides to sack him. Next, Modesto visits his psychiatrist, who advises him to accept the fact that dead people are dead and buried underground. The psychiatrist's dead father, who had hanged himself, is watching from the study, disappointed at his son's method of therapy. Later, Modesto makes his way through the streets, taking his pills. A jogger passes by at the zebra crossing. He shouts at the jogger to warn him of an oncoming truck, only too late. The truck goes through the jogger, revealing him to be a ghost as well. Somewhere else, an English teacher is teaching Hamlet to his class and asks one of the students, Elsa, to read a scene from the book. He disapproves of her translation as the bell rings, and his students walk past him even when he's talking. Later, while he duplicates his book, Shakespeare's Hamlet, in the library, a skeleton is seen moving in the back. But when he turns around, the skeleton is still hanging on the edge of a bookshelf. When he turns around again, the skeleton is nowhere to be seen. It creeps up behind him, spooking him. Wreaking havoc, the skeleton presses down the teacher's head onto the photocopier and prints a bunch of terrified pictures of the guy. The skeleton is moving on its own and makes books and staplers fly. One stapler stitches the teacher, while the books and other staplers continue to attack him. The teacher is then thrown off from the top floor of the building as the skeleton watches from the window and laughs out of enjoyment. Next, the director of the school, Tina, scolds a kid for eating too much, taking away his cookie and eating it herself as a man calls for her. He's alarmed at his daughter's drawing for Mother's Day, where the mother is eating a turd and asks to see the art teacher. But unfortunately, he quit last month like the other 8 teachers. The man, Otegi, being the only remaining member of the Parents Association, offers to help, but Tina firmly declines. Then, Tina is informed that the chairlady of her school, Montfort, is waiting for her in the office due to the rumors of the literature teacher trying to kill himself. The chairlady expresses the board's concern about recent events unfolding at Montfort, but isn't satisfied with Tina's reassurance. Otegi vouches for Tina, but the chairlady quickly silences him and demands the school be run like a convent by the end of the semester. Sometime later, Tina interviews Modesto, who lies about him being fired from multiple schools, claiming them to be not good enough. Then, Modesto gets hired at Montfort. On the way to his first lecture, he asks a girl standing outside a classroom, but she refrains and runs away. Then he comes across a group of boys who guide him to the abandoned library. There he finds a bunch of students loitering around who attempt to scare him using the same tactics, like using books, chairs, and the skeleton, but quickly realizes that he can see them. Modesto, upon his realization, makes a run for it and finds the in memoriam photos of the 5 students he came across in the abandoned library. The students and Tina chase after Modesto, but he manages to escape. Later that night, Tina is waiting for him at his apartment, who believes what Modesto saw and assures him that he's not mentally unstable. Modesto reveals the students he saw through the memoriam photos, and also that one of the girls, Marivi, is pregnant. Tina confirms that she was indeed pregnant at the time of her death. At the same time, a bunch of students, Elsa being one of them, are playing with a Ouija board, trying to summon the ghosts who are already present. After playing along for a while, Danny and Pink Floyd scare them and chase them out of the room. But Elsa, not afraid of the tactic, stays. She begins chatting with Jorge, asking him how he died. Tina explains to Modesto that during her father's tenure, there was a Christmas party, and 5 of the students had been in detention when a fire broke out. The fire alarm could not be heard due to loud music being played, killing the students who were in detention. As she's explaining, They hear screams of the terrified students being chased by Danny and Pink Floyd with books and chairs. She begs Modesto to help her persuade the dead students to leave the school and that he's not crazy, which makes Modesto happy. Delighted, Modesto throws away his pills and also helps the jogger cross the road on his way to Montfort the next day. He goes back to the abandoned library to talk to the dead students, who are equally delighted to finally be seen by someone, and ask if they're more like him. He orders the students to leave the school, but they hang him upside down on a rock climbing wall. At his psychiatrist, Modesto begins to converse with the dead father who'd hung himself, subtly. Even the father is delighted to finally talk to someone and reveals that ghosts left behind have unfinished business, which they might already know or find out later on. He concludes that the students need to complete their senior year and graduate from high school in order to move on, but only Angela is delighted, and she is the only one authentic enough to join when Modesto starts teaching literature. The boys, frustrated, pull a nutcracker on Modesto. Otegui sees this and runs back the way he came. Modesto, who's icing his swollen nut, retrieves a file on the students from Manuela, the school's receptionist. They talk a little about Danny and his violent actions. Sometime later, Modesto plays songs for the students in the library, who are ecstatic to learn about mobile phones that fit 1,000 songs. Modesto updates them about what's been happening in the world since they died. On the rooftop, the students contemplate the things they've missed. All except Danny decide to pass and move on. Elsewhere, Elsa is infatuated with Jorge. Modesto, on returning to the library, finds the students ready to learn, and Angela is appointed class representative. Friendship also starts to blossom between Elsa and Jorge, and they begin flirting with each other. Angela watches the students practicing opera in the auditorium for the Founders Day event. Otegui, who's overseeing all the preparations, complains to Tina about Modesto and his peculiar actions. Just then, Modesto arrives unenthusiastic about the event and learns from Danny that it's actually a tribute to Tina's father. While talking, Danny persuades Angela, who always wanted to join the opera but didn't, since no one will hear them anyway. Unbeknownst to her, he raises the volume on her microphone. The students, afraid of ghostly sounds from the speaker, run outside in terror, leaving Angela disheartened. Tension grows between Danny and Jorge when Jorge goes to confront Danny for what he did to Angela. He retaliates by throwing the living students' belongings and also breaks Elsa's palm top. Elsa and Jorge continue to flirt with each other through the school's computer. However, Manuela shows up and upon finding the flirtatious texts, starts to relieve herself. The gang is practicing quizzes when Danny shows up, answering one of the questions. Just then, Tina shows up as well with a problem of her own, and Danny mocks Modesto for obeying her like a dog. She reveals that the chair lady is attending the event on Otegui's invitation. Tina is scared that she might lose her father's school if anything goes wrong, and Modesto reassures her. Later, they hang by the swing, and Tina vents her frustration to Modesto. As they talk, they get closer to each other. Tina asks Modesto to do something spontaneous, and they decide to dance, all while being watched by the students. As she reaches out for a kiss, Modesto declines and runs away. Days pass by as the students continue to learn, practice at the gym, perform experiments, and eventually get better at their studies. Jorge tells Elsa that he might be leaving soon, and Elsa asks if she should join him. It's time for the students to take their exams. Elsa shows up to wish Jorge the best of luck and also tells them that she loves them and will see him soon. They give their exams, some by cheating, some by copying, and all pass with different grades. Danny, however, leaves the questions blank, scoring D, but Modesto bumps his score to C- and passes him as well. They see a white light and hold hands to ascend to heaven, but it's only the sun's rays hitting the window at an angle. When nothing happens, the students decide to wreak havoc. The students terrorize everyone, even the literature teacher who had just returned to the school. Confronting the dead psychiatrist once again, he gets the idea that they must accept who they are in order to pass on. He runs to the school to find Tina, but Otegui and other parents, along with Tina, blame Modesto for everything and sack him. As he's gathering his things from the abandoned library, he tells the students they must finish their business and accept who they are to move on together. During this, it's also revealed that Danny had started the fire that killed them and that he was scared to go to hell. Things also worsen between Modesto and Tina. Later that night, the friends watch over sad Danny swinging by himself. Next, Modesto is at his psychiatrist's, providing therapy to him, and also reveals that his dead father has always been watching over him. He hasn't left yet, since he doesn't want his son to be alone. Back at the school, Tina, who has been calling Modesto numerous times, hands Manuela a note to read out loud, asking the dead students to meet her at the abandoned library. There, she reveals that she misses him, just like the students do, and wants him back. Manuela is performing a voodoo ritual to rid the school of the ghosts. Just when she is about to sacrifice a chicken, Pink Floyd enters her body. The students then call Modesto, asking him to come to the school, but only manage to convince him once they tell him that Tina loves him. Angela hands a letter to Marivi, accidentally put in her locker by Marivi's boyfriend, Kemma. Pink Floyd steals the letter, which reveals that Kemma never wanted to marry Marivi, and asks her to forget him. The three then hug each other. It's Founders Day. Otegi, Manuela, and Tina welcome the chairlady, but Tina removes herself upon seeing Modesto. The students apologize to Modesto and ask him to come back. Otegi fumes over Modesto's presence and is bombarded by footballs from the rooftop. Modesto stops the ruckus, and Otegi is revealed to be Marivi's Kima. He threatens Modesto, but Modesto decides to confront him about Marivi, who he'd left even though she was pregnant with his baby. Inside the auditorium, everyone falls asleep from the opera, and therefore, Modesto asks Angela to liven it up. She possesses one of the girls and performs an energetic song that leaves everyone dancing and awake again. Otegi interrupts the performance, and just when he's about to propose himself to the school's principal, Danny possesses his body and humiliates him in front of everyone. Jorge sees Elsa watching from the sidelines, not participating. Tina takes over to apologize and also informs everyone that they're bringing back an old tradition, La Fiesta. Danny apologizes to his friends and they reconcile. Jorge goes to find Elsa, who's drowned herself in the swimming pool. Elsa opens her eyes and sees Jorge. He convinces her to live and that he'll meet her in the future. They kiss as she fades from Jorge to Modesto, who's been trying to resuscitate her. Modesto also tells her that Jorge misses her just as much as she misses him. Everyone has fulfilled their unfinished business, all except Pink Floyd, who wishes to go to Paca and have fun partying. Tina and Modesto dance, and just as they're about to kiss, Modesto is pulled by Marivi. Pink Floyd has a hangover. Marivi's baby starts kicking, and the lights start to flicker as well. Modesto thinks it's their time. The gang holds each other's hands. Tina also shows up to hold Modesto's hand. They glow and flicker, ultimately ascending to heaven in a white beam of light as Elsa, Tina, and Modesto watch from afar. In the end, Tina and Modesto finally share a kiss. The end.